Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Morgan podcast, a conversation show about whatever sports happen to be going on at the moment. Currently, basketball. When football starts back up later this year, we'll be talking about that. We also talking about wrestling all year long. My name is Rod Morgan. Hello. Thank you for joining us live here on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube. Thanks for checking us out later on whatever podcast platform you desire. Just do us a favor. Make sure you are subscribed and liking and commenting. That's the way that others might find out about this fabulous program that is executively produced and co-hosted by my good friend and my confidant and the man who is getting me to talk about baseball. Yeah, that's right, folks. We're going to talk about baseball. He is James Thomas Jamariska. Jimmy, hello.
There is no greater sport. And in baseball, there are no screens that you hit things into. So I'm very, very excited to talk about baseball tonight.
Oh, look at Jimmy teasing something else. He is a podcast professional, folks. Another podcast professional is our old man. He's joining us from down there in Bloomington. He used to play golf when they literally had to just stick pieces of stone on the ends of stick and bang around other rocks. That's how old he is. He's our old man, Chris. Chris King, hello.
Yeah, I was there in Scotland, Rod. It was a bleak winter. We didn't know what to do. We couldn't make fire because it's too wet. So we bashed some rocks around.
We bashed some rocks around. Chris bashes rocks around, and those are rocky takes. You'll find some of those later when we get to basketball. But since we're going to talk about a little golf, we are joined by an old friend, perhaps one of our most frequent contributors, maybe the most appearances on the Morgan podcasting network, and not officially being a host ever in his life, our guy, Matt Roberts. Matt, hello.
Hello, friends. Good to see you all again. Thank you for having me in.
We are going to talk about TGL. I have been championing it for weeks, and they just had the championship game last night. And oh, by the way, to up the stakes a little bit, one Eldrick Tiger Woods was playing competitive golf again. Mr. Roberts, how excited were you yesterday before 7 o'clock when this event teed off?
Rod, no. We have to put a little explanation at the beginning of this. You had to bring in a ringer to talk about TGL. I think Mr. Roberts has a little vested interest in TGL being successful. I think that might be something that he might have that we need to tell our audience because we have to be transparent, Rod.
Okay. And that transparency is what, Jimmy Jam? What do we need to make sure the people know? Let them go. Come on, let them know. Get them out right here. Let's go. Put it all on the table.
So, Roberts, what do you do for a living?
I work in golf simulator technology.
Golf simulator technology. What is the main attraction, Mr. Roberts, for the TGL?
That's a tough question for me because, in my opinion, the technology used there is not optimal. I like the rotating green, and I like the competition.
Shots fired. Love it. Love it.
So wait, you actually don't like the screen either?
That's not what I said at all. I have to be very careful what I say because I work for an active competitor. Yes, but I do enjoy golf simulator technology. I do enjoy the product. I do enjoy hitting the screen. That being said, there are things I like and dislike about TGL, but as a whole, I'm a big fan. I enjoy it.
Roberts, I appreciate you. I'm
going
to back it up. I'm going to back it up. I'll back it up. I appreciate you.
Yes, let's back it up. We'll get there, Jimmy.
Yes.
We can get there. Chris, I want to go to you on this. Tiger Woods was competing last night. What did that do for you? Tiger Woods, that means something to you. You've lived during the Tiger generation.
Yep, but it didn't mean anything to me last night. I just didn't. All right. The TGL does not get me interested in wanting to watch golf or golf competition. I gave it a go earlier this year. It was hard for me to first understand. It felt like I had to watch 2 hours of it before I understood anything. And I'm a golf fan, Rod. And so, no, it didn't move the needle for me. I'll have to give it another shot, but like it wasn't It wasn't something that was going to be on my radar. I know we talked about it in our secret chat offline, but nope. When you said he was coming up, I didn't even turn on ESPN. I maybe thought about it
All
for a
right,
second,
Jimmy.
but wasn't into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's wonderful. Jimmy, Chris, why don't you guys go ahead and mute here for a second so the adults can talk about what happened last night for just a second here. All right. Roberts, I believe you and I have been on this very podcast network before, waxing philosophically about one Eldrick Tiger Woods and his meaning to you and I, his meaning to the greater game of golf. We've talked about some of his greatest moments over the years. We have tracked his hopeful comeback to golf. So I'm going to get us back on track with what I tried to ask you first. What did it mean to you last night to see Tiger out there playing TGO?
I have to preface this by saying anytime Tiger Woods swings a golf club, I'm in. I'm 100% in. Whether it's a good test of is he back, is he coming back, I think is a totally different story because he's walking 40 yards from where he's hitting to the green. Can he walk a golf course? Can he get around? I mean, Tiger moves the needle in golf, and Tiger will continue to move the needle in golf probably until he never swings a club again. So anytime I see Tiger in part, any sort of competitive manner, I'm in. I'm going to be there. It's appointment television for me.
Now, Jimmy Jam,
I paid for
you're
the pay-per-view of the match, and that was the
look at
most
you.
garbage golf match I've ever seen. But Tiger
That's
and
true.
Phil playing for money, I'm in.
You're in the tank. I'm in the tank. Jimmy Jam, I know that you have your misgivings about Roberts supporting video golf aside, and you also have made your feelings about TGL clear. But I know you. I've known you since we were in third grade. You are an appreciator of sports. You are a man that used to get Sports Illustrated. You are a man that's played many sports. You understand sporting. You are appreciative of great sporting feats. It had to mean something to you to see Tiger Woods out there. Even though you don't appreciate the format, you had to think it was kind of cool to see Tiger out there last night.
I was at a softball game last night for about 4 hours, and I, on my phone, watched about 20 minutes of it because of Tiger Woods, because it was cool to see him out there. It was an experience that was surreal. Like 10 years ago, if you said, hey, Tiger Woods is going to be in an arena playing golf simulation, and it's going to be his league, and he's not going to be wearing a Nike shirt, I would have been like, what are you talking about here? I thought that was really cool. And I will say, Rod, it's so weird to me. I enjoyed it more with no sound for some reason. I enjoyed it more with no sound.
That's true, Mr. Roberts. One of Jimmy's biggest qualms was the fact that the DJ is playing a different song like every 45 seconds, and it's just kind of slamming in the background the whole entire time. And I must admit, I think there could be a way that maybe they should try to drown out the sound that the folks in the arena need, because we on TV don't need Fleetwood Mac. Although I love a good pun, we don't need Fleetwood Mac playing every time Tommy Fleetwood steps up to the tee.
Well, I disagree. You do need Fleetwood Mac every time Tommy Fleetwood comes up. But yeah, I agree. But it's it's not your golf tournament that you're watching. It is a live show for these folks here, and the walk-up songs are cool. And something that they're doing with the shot clock, yeah, every 45 seconds a shot's getting hit. You're put on the clock, so you're hearing that music back in the background. I could see where it would be distracting to the casual golf fan, but as just and I guess this is a whole different conversation we can have. I love golf. I play golf as much as any human being on the planet. I live my life around it. I work in it. TGL is completely different from professional golf. And if people would make that distinction right away, I think that alleviates some of the, I don't want to say negative chatter about it, but it's not golf. It's simulator golf. It's indoors. It's not the same. So there are going to be tweaks, and the music could be one of them that are going through. So I can see where that could be distracting. But again, I think if you look at it as not golf and just as an entertainment, as a TV show, I dig the music. I like the heartbeat at the shot clock. Like there's just fun stuff in it. It's just, to me, it's fun.
I think the shot clock is definitely a positive. I think that when it gets down to the heartbeat there, right? Like I think that just ultimately ups the stakes. You know what I mean? So I think the heartbeat is definitely good. I think the other thing that I think would be beneficial to look at, and this is something that Roberts, I know you and I have been texting back and forth, and then one Scott Van Pelt brought it up last night after the championship game was over. TGL players have been hot this year on the Rio PGA Tour. So, Chris, you said you're a lover of golf. You're an appreciator of golf. What if I told you that so many of the winners we've had at the beginning of the PGA Tour this year are guys that competed in TGL? So what if we looked at TGL as a bit of a spring training, a warm-up that leads us into the Masters? Because we just wrapped up TGL, and guess what's just around the corner, Chris?
Okay, so that brings up an interesting thing that I was just thinking about, because Roberts mentioned this isn't golf, this is simulator golf. We can't think of it as real golf, but we have real golfers playing this. Why not mix these teams up? Have some amateurs trying to get their tour card or get into the Q school on these teams, and they get a chance. Some professionals can use it as a warm up, and other people are using it as a springboard opportunity to get into the PGA. Put some stakes into it. That would make it more interesting to me, maybe.
I like that. Jimmy Jim, let me go to you on this. I love throwing things at you that you don't know I was bringing, but you usually have a good answer here, Jim. I'm going to tie it into a current thing. We just saw professional football players take on professional flag football players, and the professional football players got beat. Would you be interested in seeing somebody join the TGL arena that maybe is more versed in Slater golf and not necessarily someone that can go out there and win at the TPC at Bay Hill?
I think that's a great question. I want to talk to Roberts about this too, because I would think that, yes, you're going to have people who are professionals, if you will, in simulator golf that are going to know the tricks. I'm assuming there's got to be some tricks to where to hit it, how to hit it, how hard to hit it, how low to hit it, to maximize. Would there be? And all kidding aside, I'm really interested now in this, Roberts, because it's obviously what you do. We've talked about it before, but do you think that could happen?
I kind of like the idea of a pros versus Joes kind of situation with some amateurs. I do not like the thought of this being a stepping stone for an amateur to get into a professional event. But then I have to step back and completely, the company that I work for has a simulator event that you can sign up for and play. And should you win, you get an invite to a DP World Tour event. So there is some stepping stone to simulator golf to professional golf. I personally don't know of anyone that I would consider a professional sim golfer. In where I work, I don't know of any tips, tricks to hit the ball better. I mean, we're picking up information on the ball flight, and if you don't hit it well, it's not going to end up well. In the TGL realm of having to actually hit bunker shots, actually having to putt, hitting pitch shots, hitting to a tiered green.
Oh, that green's ridiculous. Some of those putts they had in that championship last night were ridiculous.
It's silly. So I like the combination of the technology and the actual application. But I don't know of any what I would call simulator pros that could use this too. Now I'm sure there's some guys that play on our competitive tournament to get in would be quote unquote simulator pros, but a lot of times it's club pros, it's high level amateurs that have access to this equipment and can pay the fee to jump in a tour and play online.
I guess I think about it this way. I was interested to hear your response there, and you're our golf guy around here, so we're gonna have to take your word for it. But I just wondered if there's guys that can be good at long drives, right? But then not necessarily good at golf, right? And the way I look at sim golf is you're absolutely right. You can't fake a swing and make the simulator think it's a good swing. But I think in sim golf, you're a lot more prone to take chances that you wouldn't be, say you were out on the course and you actually saw it laid out in front of you. You know what I mean? And then the other thing that's great about sim golf and what I like about TGL is you're playing a hole in a cavern. You're never going to play a hole in a cavern in real life. You're playing a hole where if you don't hit it on the fairway or the little parts of the rough, you're in the lava, right? You're playing a hole that looks like the end of the world and the Golden Gate Bridge has been burned down, right? I think that's kind of interesting because like you said, Mr. Roberts, it's a television event. So I think we have a lot of bones here. We've been through 2 years. I say TGL's cool enough to keep around. Let's have some more of it. Jimmy Jam, would you be willing to maybe check it out again, given a couple of tweaks?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I want, I don't know if Robert's heard this before in our last show about it, but I really want to hear the strategy of the guys talking with each other before the shots, especially, going up to the simulator itself or even the bunker shots. I think that would be cool if they really mic'd him up. And this isn't golf, as Robert said, because it's not. It's simulator golf. So let's just get into everything. What are you talking about? Let's hear the strategy to kind of get you more involved in the game. So yeah, I'll
I,
do it. I'll watch it again. It's fine.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you're starting to see some of those conversations. And it seems like on the TGL broadcast, they show that in the replay or after the shots happened. Um, as I think it was Matt Berry was talking about on the broadcast, like he listens to them. They all have headphones in, they all have mics in.
Mm-hmm.
He hears them for 2 hours while they're on there and they're having fun and they're having good conversations. How many of those fun conversations are TV broadcast friendly? I mean, we all know golfers, we don't have the best etiquette and language when we're talking to our group. So I'm sure that's why it's in the replay portion of that. But I'd love to see those guys when they go up to the stinger hole and talk about, oh, I'm hitting a 2 iron because my launch angle's 2 degrees on this, and I'm trying to keep it under that to keep it under that. Like, yes, it's the same way we've talked about in years for tournaments. Some of the greatest TV moments in any golf tournaments is Jordan Spieth talking to his caddy about a shot. It's great. Phil Mickelson explaining a shot that he's going to hit to his caddy. Those conversations are so cool because we have all those when we're playing with our buddies and we don't know what we're talking about. Those guys know what they're talking about, and then they go out and do it, and it's super cool to see a plan come together and hit the shot that they want to. And like Rod was saying with the caverns, you're watching these guys hit shots that are video game shots and they're hitting them. Like for anybody who's ever played golf, hit a 230-yard shot that doesn't go 15 feet off the ground. Good luck. Good luck doing it on purpose. We've all done it on accident. Good luck doing it on purpose. It's crazy to watch the skill in these different shots because of the fun holes.
See, that's the other thing for me, Mr. Roberts, right? Like whether they're hitting to a screen or whether they're hitting out of a made up bunker or a rotating electric green, this is skill on display. And what TGL does is it gives you the skill quicker, right? These guys are hitting absolute darts, okay? When they're stepping up and hitting out of the fairway at that middle box towards the screen after a drive, do you know how hard it is to hit a 3-wood 230 yards and have it just dance up on a green 7 to 8 feet away? It's really hard, okay? And these guys are stepping up and doing it within 45 seconds. I appreciate skill. I know nothing about fixing cars, but I love nothing more than turning on the Motor Trend channel and watching a guy go buy a car off the side of the road and fixing it up because I appreciate skill on TV. I can't go on Jeopardy. I don't have a PhD, but I like watching a guy go on a run answering 14 questions in a row on Jeopardy because skill on TV is good to me. Chris, I'm going to give you the final word here. What would you like to see out of TGL to make you check it out more often next year?
I would like to see what they're saying in that little group. And I'd like to see the announcers maybe inform newer audience members what's going on because they definitely didn't do that and when I first started watching. And that made it frustrating for a first time viewer. Very frustrating. Especially it's a new league, it's a new game, right? We need to know how it plays. I had no idea what the hammer was, and I'm still confused by it.
I honestly, I can't help you on the hammer. Maybe we'll figure that out by season number 3. But a game that is definitely not new and has been played for well over 100 years is America's pastime. I'm going to talk about baseball. The World Baseball Classic had me fired up again. I was excited. The jingoism in me was out. I wanted to see us beat the Dominican. I wanted to see us beat Venezuela. I got to admit, I thought it was kind of cool that Venezuela beat the United States, but that's for a different podcast. But tonight, when we record this, is baseball's official opening night. The Yankees are taking on the Giants on Netflix because it's a streaming world. That's how we live now. We have a Red Sox fan here with us. We have 2 active Cub fans, and we have a former Cubs fan. Opening day is here. I'm interested in all you gentlemen's thoughts. Roberts, you're the guest here. What do you think about opening day?
I mean, I love it. I enjoy baseball. I like watching it. Um, I will say it's a little weird of opening night being on Netflix. I know they've had some opening nights in Japan and back and forth, but to me, opening day is Cincinnati Reds baseball at like 2 o'clock on a Thursday. So like I'm always gonna think that, but I'm kind of excited. I got out of baseball a little bit last year, and I'm looking super forward to the season. I'm excited. I want to watch Otani. I want to watch Skeens. I want to watch the Sox. But I'm more hopeful for a baseball season than I have been in years, and not just because of team performance. I just think there's awesome baseball players right now that are worth watching.
I would tend to agree with you there, Mr. Roberts. Jimmy and I are kicking around possibly a permanent baseball segment as an addition to this podcast. Stay tuned next week for more news on that. Jimmy Jam, you got the Cubs hat on. What do you think about opening day?
Well, first of all, I agree with Roberts. I'm glad it's back in the U.S. and not during spring training. I really hated that when it was like a week before the season actually started. I also agree with Roberts as someone who's been to Cincinnati on opening day, watching the Reds and Cubs play. Amazing atmosphere. You're not going to get anything better than that. So that's also great. But Rod, Major League Baseball is like the NBA now, man. Come on. You're going to love it. The opening night was supposed to start at 7 o'clock with a first pitch at 7:05. Just like the NBA, first pitch wasn't until like 7:35. You got it's right in home with
There
you
we
there,
go.
bud.
Are we fired up the Ray Clay? Right? Is that it's the guys coming out to smoke? Is that what's happening in the intros like NBA games? Is that what's taking a while?
Bert Kreischer, but yes, same person, really, exactly. That's who it was. The quick inning turnaround was also very good after the top of the first, bottom of the first, like 5 minutes later instead of like 30, which is great. But opening day brings hope for everybody. Every single team today and tomorrow is in first place, and they have a chance to win the World Series. Now, by this weekend, half of those teams won't, but today, Rod, today they have a chance.
Jimmy, I love it. Going philosophical on me. Today is a day of hope for all the teams across Major League Baseball. Hope springs eternal. Next year is here. I remember that as a Cub fan. Chris, I guess I hear that your Cubs are supposed to be fairly good this year. What are your thoughts?
Oh, we made the playoffs last year too, Rod, but I guess you wouldn't have known since you don't watch baseball. But we actually improved, all right? And if you're a Cubs fan, you need to go out and read Alex Bregman's letter to Cubs fans that he penned today. It is fantastic. It is a must read for any Cubs fan, and really probably even more of a must read if you're somebody like Rod who left baseball and left Cubs. All right, read it, Rod. I'm serious. I'm excited. All right. We have something that could happen this year that I don't think anybody ever would have thought, and that's Otani going for his fourth consecutive MVP award. All right. And he's going to be pitching all year, too. This is the best player in baseball. And he's been that for a long time. He needs to be the face of baseball because we've never seen anything like him. He's better than Babe Ruth. He's better than anybody we've ever seen. Otani is the man.
Roberts, I'm going to ask you a tough question, but you know me pretty well. I just went on a little diatribe here about how I like to watch excellence on television. Chris just laid out that Otani might be one of the best baseball players we've ever seen. You mentioned Otani. Why am I not captivated by Shohei Otani?
I have no clue. Probably because you've lost your mind somewhere. I mean, where else are you going to see a guy throw 7, 8, potentially 9 innings of one hit ball, shutout ball, and hit 3 home runs in the same game? You're
He
you're
has a
not.
50-50 season, Rod. 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases.
He's
Listen, I'm not going to
insane.
deny the guy's talent. I don't know anything about him. He's kind of like a tree that falls in the forest. I'm just not around to see it. You know what I mean?
I think it's fun too because when you see him play the game, and this is so cliche, and I hate saying this, it looks like he plays the right way. He has fun. His teammates love him. He's goofing off on second base, making funny faces back at the dugout when he hits a double. Like it looks like a 14-year-old kid out there playing who's like the 14-year-old kid in the 8-year-old league that is just dominating. It's silly.
All right, so then here's the one thing I do know about Ohtani. None of you have trouble with the evil empire type scenario here. The fact that the Dodgers just get every single good player that they want, and the fact that the Dodgers can just keep paying that person an insane amount of money, and they just stack player on player on player. That doesn't bother any of you guys. Chris,
Well, they're only
Mr.
pay-
Competitive balance, that doesn't bother you.
I wasn't a fan of the Angels. I'm not a fan of the Dodgers. All right, but I recognize Otani for who he is. I've been claiming him as the best player ever on this cast for years now, when he was even on the Angels, and so I don't. I think he transcends teams. All right, we talk about trying to accept and be in the presence of greatness and appreciating it when it happens, and we should be appreciating this because it's happening right now. He's won 3 in a row, both sides, AL and NL. It's unbelievable what he can do.
Listen, I don't deny that at all. Jimmy Jam, what do you want to close with about baseball here as we move on to the round ball that is getting closer to the playoffs?
I just want to say that I'm excited for how quick the game is going. I'm excited for the new strike zone because something big is going to happen with that. As far as the ABS, like an obvious ball will be called a strike by ABS, and we're going to see what happens there. There's so many different stories going on, and there's so many young talent that are being called up to the major leagues. It's going to be really cool this year, I think, just to see all the variety that we have.
Roberts, Bill Simmons says your Red Sox are going to chase 90 games. What do you say?
I don't think that's a terrible statement. Um, they had some glimpses last year where they looked like they played well, so I'm hopeful. I think we can sneak into the playoffs, scare a little bit of the East. I think that would be a successful season.
Nice. Chris, your Cubs, better than last year, same? What do you think?
Better, we should win the Central, and I will say the AL East is probably also the toughest division in baseball, where the NL Central may be the weakest.
The Cardinals, huh? Man, I'm really sorry to see the Cardinals have fallen on hard times. That just bums me out so much. Well, Mr. Roberts, you have admitted to me many, many times that you are not a huge basketball person, so we are going to let you go before Jimmy and Chris and I run the fast break. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming back to the podcast, my friend. Always great to see your smiling face there on the screen, and great to hear your insights when you come back.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And as always, if I can help out or give some sort of an interesting take on something, I'm down. The only thing I'm upset about is we didn't really get to talk about RoboCop today. So maybe next time.
Well, that next time will probably be here in a couple of weeks because we always have you on to talk about the azaleas, and those guys are in bloom. So we'll maybe get some RoboCops.
I hope so.
Go
And
ahead.
I have a pick for the Masters that you're not gonna love. I've been saying it for weeks
Ooh,
already.
nice.
So I think it's going to
That
be
is
an
a tease. That
unpopular
is the
opinion,
tease.
but I think it's going to happen.
Let's go. A tease out of Roberts for his future appearance to make me angry. That's the kind of stuff people tune in the Morgan You Know for. You know what else they tune in for? To see Jimmy run the fast break like he's Magic Johnson. Let's go.
Welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest 15 or so minutes in the NBA. Gentlemen, so much going on. College, professional. I do want to start in college real quick, though. North Carolina fires Hubert Davis. Couple people that are on the radar. Brad Stevens. He said no. There's no way he was going to. But I'm proud of North Carolina for making him say no, because that's good. But someone else I want to talk about that's going to lead into, of course, one of Rod's rants here coming up soon. But Billy Donovan for the Chicago Bulls has been heavily rumored that he might make the leap. If you're Billy Donovan, Rod, do you stay with the Bulls? You've been there for so long, and there might be some light coming soon? Or do you go to North Carolina and try to revamp that organization?
Jimmy, how dare you look into the camera and tell these wonderful people that listen to us on the Morgan You Know podcast that the Bulls might have some light at the end of the tunnel. You've been around for enough of the Jerry Reinsdorf project since Michael Jordan left town. You understand what the Chicago Bulls do, that they don't pay the luxury tax, that they don't make trades that are smart, that they don't necessarily draft the guy that ends up being a good basketball player. So there's no hope at the end of the tunnel for the Chicago Bulls. The question that one Billy Donovan has to ask himself, do I want to continue making a lot of money to essentially not have to do anything? Sure, I have to do some media availability before a game, and I have to juggle some substitutions. Can this guy who can't really play, should I put him in for this other guy who can't really play? Or should I put him in for this other guy who can't really play? Sure, he has to make those decisions during 48 minutes of a basketball game. Then he has to go into a press conference afterwards and explain to some reporters that don't really care if the Bulls win or lose. And they know the fan base doesn't really care if the fans win or lose. And he just keeps paying more money to do that. The Bulls just keep giving him new contract extensions to continue to lose. So does he like that? Where he gets to live in the same city as Chicago, stayed up in high-class hotels and first-class travel to not win? Or does he want to go stay in high-class hotels and first-class travel to have the fan base bitch at you every time you lose a game on Wednesday night versus the conference rival, and then you have to get up early the next day to talk to your number 2 and 3 shooting guard because they might leave and transfer to the school next year? If I'm Billy Donovan, I'm staying in the NBA to get a lot of money to do nothing.
So, Rob, what were your thoughts on that, really? You forgot about the great trade the Bulls didn't take when New Orleans offered them their first-round unprotected pick this year for the 12th pick last year. But, of course, the Bulls had to take Noah Esenge, who Chris, what do you think? Should Billy Donovan go to UNC or stay with Chicago?
He's probably going to make more money staying with Chicago, but he has had more success coaching in college than the NBA. And you're going to have resources, and you don't have to worry about some owner or GM overriding who you want to draft or recruit, right? So he'll be able to build the team he wants every single year. Yeah, you might have to convince a guard or a center to stay, but you can also go out and get whoever you want as well. So I don't know. That'd be a tough call.
You have to worry about Big Smooth, Sam Perkins getting baked and going on local Charlotte radio and calling you out for being a terrible coach because of your rotations. That's what you have to worry about if you're North Carolina's coach. Nobody gives a crap what Donovan does at Chicago.
Yeah, I kind of go along with what Rod was saying. Being in the NBA, you're in luxury all the time, and you don't have to worry about kids coming up to you saying, I want another $1 million, or I'm leaving that next fall, or I'm leaving in 2 months, or whatever it is. So yeah, I really would stay if I were him. He's got a good gig. The check's clear. But speaking of the Bulls, Rod, we got to talk about some Rod Damnation of the week.
We have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying. I don't understand no more distractions, but I do believe we should all follow one path in life. Hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie. Jimmy, we took a week off last week from celebrating tankers. I decided to give Chris a little break on making his head explode, but this week we have to combine Rod Damnation with the tanking conversation because we have a couple of teams that absolutely forgot what we are doing here. The Chicago Bulls and the Indiana Pacers. What on earth are you doing? The easiest games in the world for tanking teams to kick are ones they play against playoff contenders. The Bulls have no reason, I repeat, no reason whatsoever to beat the Houston Rockets on a random night. And the Indiana Pacers, having lost 15 straight games and still not getting any separation from the kings of the tank. God bless you, Washington Wizards. Your eye is on the prize, and you are not forgetting what this is all about. Also, you're fighting people just because you have enough energy to expend because you're not trying to win basketball games. Kudos to the Wizards, but tisk to the Pacers and the Bulls. Pacers, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have to get the number 1 pick. You have to get the number 1 pick because any team that is 4 through 13 that jumps into the top 4 bumps you back. And every spot you get bumped back gives the Los Angeles Clippers a chance to take the pick from you. So you have no business keeping your best player, the one guy who hasn't got the memo about we're losing ball games around here. And let me take a quick aside here and say, God bless you, Pascal Siakam, for understanding that you're not supposed to tank games. It's not up to you to tank ball games. You're supposed to give maximum effort. Good for you. But Rick Carlisle, my guy, you don't have to keep Pascal in the last minute of a game that you know deep down inside you should be losing. Pacers, stop it. Bulls, stop it. Wizards, you know what you're doing. Jimmy, I cede the floor.
I can't understand how the Pacers are 1-9 in their last 10 and haven't gained any ground. They're tied with the Wizards because the Wizards know what to do. The Wizards have been here so many times and they know what can happen. So they're going to do the best they can to get the best chances. Chris, I know you hate this, and I appreciate you for sitting here and not swearing on camera. I do appreciate that so much, but it is so important. I mean, really, the top like 6 or 7 guys are really, really good this year. And the Pacers got to get one of those 4, Chris. They have to.
I feel like it's just like, I don't know. I'm not going to get into this argument. You guys know exactly how I feel. I really feel disgusted by this conversation and how much joy you guys are taking in watching your teams lose. So, no, I'm not going to keep beating
Wait a
this
minute.
dead horse.
Don't lump Jimmy into that. Don't lump Jimmy into that. Jimmy's not saying what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want to twist my words and say I'm enjoying the fact that the Pacers are losing, that's fine. Even though you know that's not what I'm saying. It makes for a good podcast bit. But don't lump Jimmy into this. This is my point, not his.
Yeah, I just at some point though you need to do what's best for your team, and I really hope they do. And you know what? Maybe Chris is right, and maybe Karma will come back, and the Pacers will land the 5th pick, and that pick will go to the Clippers, and they're going to take Darius Acuff, and he's going to be the greatest guard in the history of the NBA. As by the way, thank you everyone for commenting on our Facebook and our TikTok. A lot of really good points about height. About scoring potential, Rod. I really enjoyed it, actually.
Did they were more people against me or with me on that one, Jimmy?
Everyone thinks you're an idiot. Everyone thinks you're an idiot, not just
course.
Williams. Yeah.
Of course. That's great. That's great. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. We don't just want it from the old man Chris, who knows for a fact that I am an idiot. We want it from people on the internet who have no idea because they've never met me.
So the MVP table right now is 2 people and 2 people only. Victor Wembanyama gave his MVP address the other night. I'm saying this now. Victor Wembanyama is the MVP. It's not Shea anymore. It's Victor Wembanyama. He does everything on defense. He does offense. He makes people who have played the game at the highest level ever change how they play the game every single night. The Spurs came out of nowhere and have really done a great job as a team this year. I think Victor is the MVP. Chris, prove me right, prove me wrong.
Yeah, no, listen. He is doing something that we haven't seen been done because it's a type of player that we haven't seen with his God-given build, right? And his natural abilities with the work ethic that he has, right? He is phenomenal. But even he said it himself, right? We know what he is on defense. Defensive player of the year, absolutely. But he said it himself. Offense isn't just about scoring points. And he says that because other players score a heck of a lot more points than he does. But if you look at offense created, he creates 32 points per game, where guys like Cunningham, 49.9, Shea, 49.1, Luka, 54, the Joker, 55 points per game. All right. Those guys create offense and a whole lot more offense. And Victor's 7-4, and he doesn't lead the league in rebounding. You know who does? Joker. And you know who's been on an absolute MVP tear, averaging almost 40 points a game lately? That's Luka and the Lakers.
So Chris wants more people at the table, Rod. I still say it's just 2. With Luka, I think he's 3rd. That's fine. No problem. Cade, can't do it. Sorry, Cade. We'll talk about that in a minute. Rod, I think Victor's the MVP. What say you?
You know that I'm not a big Shea guy. I am still going to stay consistent with that. I'm not going to deny Shea's talent, but I do happen to think that if the NBA decided to call certain collisions in the paint a tad bit differently. How many fewer points a game would Shea Alexander average? That is just something that I'm sorry is an unalienable fact. We're going to set that to the side. I am a disciple of the great Zach Lowe. And Zach Lowe was talking with Bill Simmons recently about Victor's defensive effect here. Chris, you're going to like this. And he talked about how we all give guys like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and Kawhi Leonard and Derek White and a few other these guys so much credit for being great defensive stoppers, right? But you know what they do? They're only a defensive stopper like a fifth of the time, right? Because if you take that guy and you push him off and his man's over in the corner, he can't do anything. Victor Wembanyama is basically a deterrent on defense all the time. He stands in the paint and you think about him being there. He stands in the paint and you think about being able to make a skip pass over the top. He starts to close out on you and you think I might not be able to get this jump shot up. And these guys have been getting jump shots up over 7-footers and even guys a little taller than 7-footers their whole entire career. But Victor Wembanyama makes them think twice. So his effect on the defensive end of the court ultimately makes me nudge him above Shea, but I will admit my Shea bias here.
I just, yeah, that's weird. I thought we were going to have a lot more interaction on that one. Apparently, I'm right. I like that a lot. I think Shea's going to win, but I think he's going to win. But I think Victor really should be. I mean, we're just kind of giving it to him now, which
Well,
I don't know.
here's the
Go ahead.
problem with Victor and the Joker, right? They can't miss games. All right. Luca's dangerous. Well, no, Luca, well, he's kind of close. And at least Shea has 5 to play with, right? So it's really tough. And now Cade is probably not going to reach the 65 game
No.
threshold either. So it may come down to, well, there's only 2 people eligible to even win it, right? That's another reason I'm iffy to give it to Victor now. I would love to see Victor get more blocks and steals. He should be. He's only getting 4 per game. I know that's a lot, and that's phenomenal. I love that stat. That's why I want to give him Defensive Player of the Year, hands down. But that's not that much more than Luca. Luca gets 2.2 stocks per game. I would think there would be a bigger gap for that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stats that aren't in there too. You know, it's just the feel of the game, the flow of the game, things like that. You're not going to see. I think that was a good conversation. I do want to talk a little bit about this Cade Cunningham thing as well, because the NBA PA sent out a couple letters this week. One was about Cade Cunningham saying it's ridiculous that he's not eligible for any of these awards because he only has he's not going to get to 65 games. To that, I say it's the rule, and we can't really change it for anybody right now. So I think there's that in that bucket. But also, it's interesting that it's 58 games is the cutoff for scoring title, league leaders, rebounding, all that. So shouldn't we kind of put those together? Or Rod, do you think it just should be a minutes thing moving forward? Because this year cannot change. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous if they want to change it this year.
I think there's definitely a conversation to be had about how if we're going to have 58 games qualify you to be put down in the history books as a statistical leader, then that should be probably good enough in the other categories. But I will say this, there's already an exception that exists for 62 games, and and Cade's unfortunately not going to be able to hit that one either. So I feel badly for Cade. There's no doubt about it. He's the reason the Pistons are where they are. He has been a first team all NBA selection, but I, like you, Jimmy, agree with the rules. If the rule was collectively bargained with the Players Association, these very people putting out the statement, I'm sorry. I was more interested in the second statement the NBPA put out, Jimmy, but we'll get to that after Chris's thoughts.
I'm curious as to how far away, did the players start at 58 and be like, no, we can get that, and then the ownership start at like what 70, and they met in the middle at 65. Like that's where I'm confused. Like I thought it was a weird percentage of total things. I think you pick it at like maybe you got to play 75% of the year. I think that would put it closer to about 61 games, right? I think that would be a little bit more fair. And I think I do think no matter what, it shouldn't be different for your name to get in the record books as a scoring title versus making first team All NBA or getting the MVP. It needs to be the same measurement as far as games played.
There was a big problem with load management, and they tried to fix it, and they did a really good job with that. Did they take into
That's the
everything into
sneaky secret here,
consideration?
Jimmy.
No. Yeah,
The rule's working. That's the sneaky
it is.
secret. We're mad
That's
about
it.
this, but the rule's working.
And I don't even think I'm mad about it. It is what it is, guy. I mean, it is. You have to play 65 games. If you don't, cool, no problem. You just can't get this, and that. I'm sorry. And there are awards at the end of the season. Now, the good thing with Cunningham is he made third team last year, so he's already good. That Supermax is good for that. So I'm not really mad at this. I just think we need to continue to revise it and see what happens moving forward. But yeah, I think it's probably a minutes played more than a games played type situation. Because even if this load management was so bad, and even now, when teams come to Indiana, they ain't gonna play people unless the Pacers are good, right?
Talk to our friend Dax; he knows it firsthand.
Yeah, exactly, and that really sucks. But you don't want to have that over and over and over again. So that has worked. That's good. Speaking
Jimmy,
of
I like
this,
what you said about minutes. The last point I want to make here, I like what you said about minutes. Tyrese Maxey's not going to make 65 games, but he still has played the third most minutes in the NBA. So I think there's something to be said for maybe minutes.
100%. Yeah, you've done a great job this year. You got hurt for 3 weeks. It sucks. And then you have the NBAPA sending this letter about Giannis Antetokounmpo and about tanking. And Chris, this isn't a tanking. We're not talking about tanking here because it's one of those, and we all know the buzzwords in politics, in sports, and religion, and all that just get people riled up, and they just use it, and they want to get those clicks. The Milwaukee Bucks, Chris, and listen to me carefully here, and I'm going to go to you first. The Milwaukee Bucks should not play Giannis Antetokounmpo for the rest of the season for one reason and one reason only. He has been hurt 4 times this year. He needs to rest because they want him to be back at 100% next season, no matter where he plays, because he cannot get hurt again for a year-long injury, Chris.
I think it has to be, listen, if I'm a player and I want to play, I'm going to be absolutely furious if my bosses tell me I can't. I don't care what our record is or anything else like that. That's I think, and that's where Giannis is coming from. It's like, no, I can play. Let me play. Who cares about anything else? Because let me tell you, you can be cautious. You can be careful. You can go back and forth on whether or not you're going to get him to sign another extension next year, or are you just worried about keeping him healthy to trade him so you get something before he goes and becomes a free agent? All I'm saying is anything could happen. He could go out and get injured in the preseason with a torn Achilles or a ruptured ACL or anything else, and then it's all for naught. It doesn't even matter. And all he did was sit when his teammates, who he's supposed to be bonded with, are out there playing their heart out, and he's not able to do it with him. Let him play. He wants to play. Let him play.
I think sometimes you have to be a grown up in the room and tell someone no, though. Where, yeah, I know you want to do this, but for your best interest. And listen, I'm not an angel here. And the team's best interest too, no question. But really, for his best interest, I'm scared to death he's going to come out and rupture his Achilles and be out for a year, and we're going to lose another year of Giannis.
But that's not the team's best interest. That's the organization's best interest. They see him as an asset. All right.
Yeah.
This isn't like the NFL when you're dealing with concussions and you're worried about player safety. All right. The Bucks aren't concerned about Giannis's health. They are concerned about getting a return on investment on their asset, whether that's a successful playoff run next year or a trade of a healthy Giannis to a team where they can get assets back.
Man, I love this because I've been wrong twice tonight. I thought you were going to be on my side on that one. But, Rod, let's go to you real quick. I don't think he should play at all just because he's been hurt too much this year. Let him rest.
That to me is irrelevant. I think we're missing the point here. Giannis doesn't get to have it both ways. All right. I'm sorry. You don't get to be part owner in Kalshi and you don't get to do all of these passive aggressive BS interviews and say you want the Bucks to trade you. No, I don't really want the Bucks to trade me. Some days I want to eat oatmeal and then other days I want to eat cereal. Maybe some days I want to live in this house and then other days I want to live in this different house. No, you don't get to do all of that and then get to cry foul when then the Bucks don't play you. I'm sorry. You don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to dictate to the Bucks what they can and can't do vis-a-vis your playing time. And then when you want to play and they decide to say, no, you can't play, then you go run to the NBA Players Association. Which is it, Giannis? Are you the man who's one of the top 5 players in the NBA who's calling his shots, or are you somebody that has to go run into daddy because the neighbor took your ball? What on God's name are we doing here? I'm so sick of Giannis, and I'm mad, Jimmy. I'm mad because I did not think on March 25th of 2026 you would get me to be anti-Giannis Antetokounmpo. I thought this was the guy. I thought this was Mr. Tryhard. I thought this was Mr. Aw Shucks, and now every time his name comes up in the news, I'm disgusted.
Wow. And you didn't have a Rod Damnation today. Okay. Really would hate to see what that is. So I see this ending badly if he plays. I really do, and I'm worried. I am worried for him. I want him just to be as healthy as possible for whoever he plays for next year. And yeah, Chris, you're right. I think the Bucks have interest both ways. If they want to sign him, which I think they kind of do, or if they're going to trade him, they want to make sure that he's healthy to trade.
It's up to Giannis. The Bucks owner came out and said it. It's up to Giannis. They're going to offer him a contract. Giannis either signs the contract or the Bucks trade him. It's up to Giannis, just like it's always been up to Giannis. Stop being wishy-washy. Just do it.
Bryant for the win.
All right, it's time for the King's Hardwood Hierarchy. Chris, last week, the King was the Thunder, the Queen was the Spurs, the Prince were the Hawks, and the Jester were the Phoenix Suns. Who you got this week?
Well, you can't just keep on winning and lose your spot in the hierarchy, all right? And so the Thunder at 12 in a row, the Spurs with 6 in a row, they're still your king and queen. All right?
Quick little update about your Kings. They just went down to the Boston Celtics not more than 5 minutes ago, ladies and gentlemen. But Chris, you're still valid to have them at the top.
Right. Well, and that brings me to the Prince, because there is a lot of good teams on some streaks right now that could deserve to be a Prince. I tell you what, Boston wasn't on my radar at first, but with that win, they would be. They would be in the running for the Prince role. So would the Knicks with 7 in a row. All right. I know
Knicks
last
are
week
tough.
was the Hawks are still on a crazy run, right? They won 9
9-1.
out of their last 10, but
Until they ran into a real team named the Houston Rockets, they didn't even come close in that game.
But I really got to give it to Luka and the Lakers. All right. They have won 6 in a row against some good quality playoff type teams. And Luka's averaging almost 40 a night. All right. This is a tough team. If I was anybody other than the Thunder and the Spurs, I would not want to play the Lakers in the playoffs.
All right, Chris.
I'm not
I
one
have
to give the Thunder a lot of credit, but Jimmy, I'm sorry, I have to throw this in
You're
because
good.
I don't give
You're
the
good.
Thunder a lot of credit. They've lost 1 game since the All-Star break. 1. They've lost 1 game since the All-Star break.
And I think was tonight the first
than
night
tonight.
the 6th time all year they've had all their starters back, I think. So that was
Yes, that's why I'm
amazing.
excited about my Celtics victory tonight. Tatum looked smooth. JB had 31. Thunder had all their guys, and the Celtics won, Jimmy. Joe Maz is a psycho.
And who
I
is
tell you
our
what,
Jester?
Jaylen Brown is hoping everybody gets injured, and then he's left as the only MVP candidate.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah, he could be. Jester Chris.
He's going to be first team All-NBA. I think he's a lock for first team All-NBA.
You're probably right about that, Rod. All right, you know how I do it. All right, these are teams that should be in the playoff hunt and are in the playoff hunt and are not playing up to expectations. All right, and if you were a 5 seed just a little bit ago and you go on a 6-game losing streak and lose to people like the Pacers, who are apparently one of the worst teams ever, then you're back into play-in game contention and going to end up playing somebody like the Sixers or the Hornets. And that's the Orlando Magic. They're my jesters this week.
Yeah, it kind of had to be. I already wrote them in there for you. Whenever I see the Magic do something like this, I'm like, yeah, you got to trade Paolo. Got to trade him. Something's got to change. He had 36, 6, and 5 tonight. He's your team. I mean, he's really good. I think they're going to have a new coach.
They've been
Is the problem with Orlando?
They've been
What?
so
Is the
close and on the
problem with
cusp
Orlando
of
simply
being great in the East, and they just can't get over that last little hump.
I think the problem is just this simple. They're paying a lot of money to Jalen Suggs, and they're paying a lot of money to Franz Wagner, and those two guys don't play an awful lot. And when you have a lot of money locked up in guys that don't play, you end up falling short on some of the depth pieces that you need.
We will not fall short on this podcast because we just did the fast break, and now it's time for the Yeah We Know podcast. We're talking WWE, and gentlemen, yeah, I know what I'm leading with, but do you know what I'm leading with? Rod and Chris, I'm going to ask you every week, what story am I going to lead with this week? Lots to talk about. You have no idea what I'm going with here. No clue. There's no chance.
I got it. I got it.
That's what you got.
I got it. Chris, you
Oh,
go
you both.
first because you don't have it.
Oh.
I have it.
I know it. All right. I
Okay.
know what he's going to talk about because it's been coming up week after week after week, and it's been crazy how often it happens. All right. These are supposed to be reinforced announcing desk, and week after week they keep breaking. That's what he's going to bring up first tonight. The weak ass reinforced announcing desk.
Wow. You think I'm going to go
No.
with a broken announce table to start with? I don't know, Rod. That's a pretty good one. How about, what do you think, Rod?
I think you are actually going to lead with a wrestling program that airs on Tuesday nights. I think you are going to lead with an elimination tournament that happened on NXT. And I think you are going to lead with the reappearance of one of our favorite wrestlers, one Johnny Gargano, aka Johnny Wrestling, being a surprise entrant in the tournament, and Candice LeRae pushing him to victory, and the reemergence of our guy Johnny Gargano back in a place that meant so much to him, NXT.
I'm not going to lie. That was my finisher today. I did have that as my finisher. And when we're done with the show, and I was going to say, by the way, Gargano. No, that is not what I'm leading with today. Rod, I have a question for you. How is it possible to get arrested for violating a restraining order when you haven't been served with said restraining order?
That's pretty good. That's definitely WWE logic at play right there, Jimmy. I'm surprised that your choice for this story angle was the restraining order and not necessarily a couple of the things that one Paul Heyman said into a microphone as Seth Rollins was being led out. Man, I get that CM Punk has crossed some lines. I get that my guy Seth Rollins has crossed some lines before. Hell, the WWE exists because they cross lines, but my goodness, Becky Lynch, sorry about you catching some strays. And I'm sorry about Seth Rollins' daughter catching some strays. My goodness, Paul Heyman stooped to a level there, Jimmy.
Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins is going to be an amazing match at WrestleMania, isn't it? Because that's really kind of what they're building to, is Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman fighting, which, Chris, that makes me feel that Braun Breaker will be available for WrestleMania, and he and Seth Rollins are going to have their match.
Quite possibly. I don't know where Breaker was on his rehab or how long they thought he was going to be out, but right, that's what they want. If you're a WWE, you want Breaker back so he can fight Rollins at WrestleMania, right? I will say this, though, Jimmy, to answer your original question. Yeah, I've seen this happen in real life. They'll go ahead and say, okay, yeah, here's your restraining order. We're going to take you to jail, and we'll let the judge decide if it's legal or not. And you're just screwed.
Yeah, you have to be served it. You have to be like serve the papers. Like the guy who
Oh,
did the Lion
no.
King joke was on
Yeah.
stage and they served him
I'm just
papers on
saying,
stage.
no,
You got to serve
no.
him first.
No, they will just pick you up and say, "Hey, this is out here, and you're too close, and we're gonna take you in and let the judge sort it out, and you're just screwed." Trust me, I know.
Jimmy, you're at a loss here. You don't remember what Chris was up to back in '84 in Kennebunkport. All right, you don't understand all of the different ins and outs of the shipping business that Chris was running. There was a whole thing with the Icelanders.
Shipping, that was
there
the
a lot of
business.
trouble. Yeah,
It was importing,
Yeah,
exporting
yeah.
for sure. No question about that. I have no
Yeah.
idea. Anyone listening, I really don't know. I'd never met Chris in person before, so he could be a robot for all I know.
Chris is actually just AI. He's AI.
There's no more perfect AI than Chris. I'll tell you that.
That's
right
why I
now.
don't have an
Chris,
age.
That's true. You are ever living. Penta and Dom Mysterio. Penta retains, but that's not the story. The demon is back. Finn Balor, the demon. We got the vignette. We got the little glimpse. WrestleMania is going to be awesome, Rod. Demon Finn Balor, Dom Mysterio. They're going to have a banger of a match, and Demon's going to win.
I'd love to see that. I think Finn Balor needs a win. I think Finn Balor needs some momentum. I think he's a heck of a wrestler. I think as much guff as I give Dom Mysterio on this podcast, he is a heck of a wrestler. So you are right there when you say that they will give us a tremendous match. I think we will have to wait to see where it falls on the card. You know as well as I do that can really spell your fate at WrestleMania. Are you coming after a match that everybody's on high and then they're leaving and getting some popcorn, or are they a little worn out because the match, you know what I mean? It's going to really depend on where they put him and Dom. But I think that's going to make for a heck of a match. But what I wonder about, Jimmy, is that's great for Dom, who is the AAA Mega Campeon. And that's great for Finn Balor, who has 0 belts. But what does it do for the Intercontinental Champion, Jimmy?
Yeah, I want to see him face Dragunov at WrestleMania. Maybe even put Carmelo Hayes in a 3-way and just say, go do 20 minutes and it'll be the greatest match of all time. Yeah, I'm not sure. We did get the win, which is good. I do like the roll-up pin. He did overcome some adversity. Let's get him in a good program too, though. We need to figure
crazy
out where
pyro too.
Yeah,
Chris, let me ask you. You're a newbie here. When was the last time you saw somebody have as much pyro as Penta had for Monday night? Right? Like, I mean, they put like a spinning pinwheel of pyro in the ring. They didn't even have enough pyro to fire out of the ring or up in the top. They had to add more to the middle of the ring.
I mean, not since Undertaker caught fire, maybe. So, right?
Well,
Go
yeah,
Penta.
Yes. Are we going to get to the... Okay, I'm over the CM Punk Roman Reigns thing. Chris, I know you talked about the table and everything like that. I'm over it. I think it's old. Can we just get to WrestleMania already, please, Chris?
This is garbage. This is garbage out of you. You want to come on this podcast and talk about how great CM Punk is when he's trashing Roman Reigns, but the week that the big dog comes out, lays him down with the spear, kicks him out of the ring and throws him through a table and then punches him in the face, that's the week you don't want to talk about it, Jimmy? How convenient for you. You're such a Phil apologist.
Phil fan, thank you very much. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, as long as I see Phil lose that belt at WrestleMania and it gets him out of the championship talk, then I'm all for it, and I'll deal with Roman and what this new bloodline is going to look like, because we've seen this before. So we'll see. I'm just waiting for Phil to lose. I think Roman gets the belt back. I mean, that's the way that you think, Jimmy, about this match is kind of how I feel about the Cody match, right? I'm not excited about it. I'm just waiting for it to get over. Like I've seen this before. I don't want to see it again.
Yeah,
Chris,
I'm
going
to push back. I'm going to push back. This is not the same bloodline here, Chris. All right. What happened on Monday night is all the example you need. Okay. The bloodline before, Roman had 0 respect for anybody else in the bloodline. He had almost 0 respect for the members of his family. They were just people that were there to help Roman achieve his greatness, okay? But on Monday night, who's the one that convinced Roman to go back in the ring and lay Punk down? Who's the one that told Roman, you know what to do? You have to do it. Go in there, put him down, Oos. And Roman turned around and put him down, okay? The previous iteration of the bloodline that you're talking about, Chris, that never would have happened. Roman wouldn't have listened to somebody. He would have been more likely to get out of the ring and slap Jay for telling him what to do than he would have been turning around and actually laying down CM Punk. So I think we're growing a new bloodline, Chris. So I'll agree with you that it's the bloodline, but I'll push back and say it's not the same thing we've seen before.
And then it's not going to work because we saw Roman tell Jimmy to get his brother and himself out of the ring and leave, and that didn't happen either. So there's going to be grief behind it.
No, he thought better of it in the moment. He thought better of it in the moment. He did that at first, and then he realized, nope, I should actually have my cousins be here and follow their advice.
Obafemi punked Brock Lesnar again. Now I'm officially worried, Rod. Are they going to have Lesnar go over on Femi to set up another match?
I wouldn't
like
be surprised if
SummerSlam
it
or
happens.
something?
I would not be surprised if it happens. I'm not going to predict that right now. I think Oba's going over. I think that we're really trying to put a rocket ship on Oh Boy here coming out of WrestleMania. But the WWE is still the WWE, right? So I think there's definitely a world where Brock wins this. I think if Braun doesn't come back, if Bronson's still out, if Logan and Austin Theory continue to get no heat, we're going to need something out of Paul Heyman. And what's better to do than have him be attached to Brock Lesnar coming out of a big win on WrestleMania?
Yeah, I guess, Chris. So one of our listeners, and thank you very much for putting this, I think, on TikTok, where we said that Brock Lesnar really doesn't do this for a lot of people. And he said, well, they did it for Drew McIntyre. I said, valid point. In the Royal Rumble, McIntyre kicked him out in 2020, but then everything after that happened in front of no people. So I don't think it has the same effect as it does now with Oba and Lesnar. But I really think, Chris, that this might be leading to Lesnar winning.
I'm disagreeing. I think this is going
Good.
to be an Obi squash match, and it's going to shock everybody. All right, I think Obi Fima comes out. It's a quick match, 7 minutes. We know Brock doesn't like to work longer than that anyway, so it's going to be a squash match, and it's going to shock everybody. And Obi's going to be over more than anything we've ever seen in a while.
That's the story. I would love to see that happen, and maybe see him go after a heel champion of some sort. Which is Randy Orton a heel? I guess is the question, because he is a very, very bad person, Rod. But you bought his merch. You're part of the problem. People are cheering Orton. He brought out the chair. He talked about what he did, and then our boy Cardona.
What is
Matt Cardona is one of the biggest wrestling fans, let alone very accomplished professional wrestler, right? He is a big wrestling fan. He knows what happens when you come out and you talk to someone who's kind of on the edge. You know you're going to get killed. Why do you do that, Rod?
Also, that aside, Jimmy, tell me the last time that somebody received a hug in a WWE ring and then didn't get backstabbed immediately after it, right? Like, when was the last time a legit hug went down in a WWE ring? It had to have been a little while ago, right? So forget all of Randy's past aside. You're not ever going to get away with a legit hug in a WWE ring. It just doesn't happen. And my thoughts on Randy Orton are this and this alone. I think they wanted Randy to be the bad guy. I think Randy would like to be bad guy, but I think the problem here is folks don't want Cody Rhodes to be the good guy. So the way that you try to make Cody Rhodes not be the good guy is to have the fans not boo the bad guy. And so I think there's just a little bit of that at play here. And I think there's also what we talked about, Jim, in the past. You get to a certain level where it's awful hard for the fans to be against you. I was worried that fans wouldn't be against either Roman or Punk. They've managed to flip that, and there's certainly a side for CM Punk, and there's certainly a side for Roman. But we haven't seen that clear division between Randy and Cody yet, and I think it's because folks would rather see Cody play heel instead of this aw shucks babyface who keeps getting taken advantage of.
the person on this podcast who knows more than anyone else about heels and faces, because he knows exactly what those definitions are, is Chris King. And Chris, do you think Randy Orton should be cheered or should he be booed?
I am cheering Randy Orton because I want to see
Because he's a
him.
heel.
I want to see him beat Cody. No, see, this is what you guys sometimes forget is like, I'm new to the WWE, like renewed, right? Rebirthed as a fan. Um, but I think the people who I love and I root for races, not whether they're blah 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 getting pushed in a certain way or are supposed to get cheered, right? Like I know Dom's supposed to be a heel, but I love Dom. I think he's a genius. So he's a face to me because I love him and I want him to win. I want Randy Orton to win. So no, he's not a heel. He's just trying to beat up the guy I want to see him beat up.
Rod, we are on episode 589 of the Morgan You Know Balls and Brew and Yeah We Know Pride. 589. Of those five, like legitimately, that is this issue. That is this number. Of those 589, Chris King has been on a good $175, maybe 200, but he's still new. He's still
Yeah.
new, Rod. Still new.
He definitely is. Listen, our guy Chris is not new at anything, as we all point out many times. He's the old man of this podcast. He has been around longer than all of us. He helped Dr. James Naismith invent basketball. Earlier today, he admitted to us that he helped invent the game of golf in Scotland. We heard about his time running from a restraining order in Kennebunkport earlier, so we all know how old he is, all right? But the other thing that our guy likes to do is whatever helps craft his argument at the moment, he is quick to jump into that, right? So if it's I love heels, then he loves heels at the moment because that makes his argument. If it's I love faces, that makes his argument. If he's like, I don't mind it when teams lose, then that's his argument. Whatever side he needs to be on to be against me, Jimmy, is usually the way the old man blows.
I know what Jimmy's doing is set me up for some Drew talk, right? Because obviously Drew's going crazy. But like, yeah, like I'd be mad at Jacob Fatu as well. I never liked him. He was part of the bloodline, then part of Solo Sikoa's crew. He's great in the ring, but I'm not a fan of his. I don't want to see him win. And he cost Drew his belt as far as I'm concerned. So whatever he gets is coming to him.
Rod, I love that Chris and I just had an argument and I didn't say a word. Chris just yelled at me just for no reason. So we don't have okay, we're gonna move on. Kit Wilson, toxic. I love it. And the Miz and Jelly Roll. Rod, are we gonna get a Kit Wilson Miz versus Jelly Roll and Danhausen match at WrestleMania? Will that be Danhausen's official WWE debut?
Well, it depends on how many human dollars they are offering up to Danhausen, whether or not he will take the ring for that match. It will depend on how many human dollars are up for Danhausen, because as Danhausen has exclaimed, the reason that he came to this universe from whatever multiverse he is from to participate in professional wrestling is because that's where you make all of the human monies. Danhausen has no understanding of other sports, doesn't know anything about them, but Danhausen enjoys the human monies, and wrestling is a way that you can make lots of the human money. So that's why he is here. Jelly Roll makes lots of human monies performing with Post Malone and tours nationwide. I don't know why he needs wrestling, but I'll tell you this. The guy seems dedicated to it. His match with Randy Orton at SummerSlam was fairly good. I was impressed at some of what he did. I heard an interview with Jacob Fatu recently talking about how Jelly Roll was down cleaning up the mat after his training at the Performance Center. Like, that's true. I love wrestling stuff right there, man. He wipes his boots when he gets in the ring. Like, the guy seems to get it.
Well, and I think this will be the feel good moment. You know, he took the L last time, but Danhausen and Jelly Roll, I think that would be great. And good job, Miz. Been around forever, getting in a WrestleMania match. Kit Wilson doing your gimmick. I love it. I'm very happy for both of them.
Aren't we going to see a Danhausen I Show Speed match? I thought that was the whole thing. He cursed I Show Speed. I heard rumors of some race afterwards where now Danhausen has the YouTube password for I Show Speed or something. I thought that's where they were going to go with Danhausen.
They have.
He beat I Show Speed. He beat I Show Speed bad. He beat I Show Speed bad. I mean, like, it wasn't even close. He got to the finish line, turned around, and was like, "What took you so long?" It was. I mean, Danhausen's amazing.
And we have two more things before we get out of here. Danhausen might be the reason that we have Johnny Gargano back. He did not curse him. He cured him because the 20 human dollars he stole from Candice LeRae.
I take umbrage to your use of the word stole, Jimmy. He simply asked Candice LeRae for $20 and she decided to hand it over. That is not stealing. All right.
And he
And
delivered a
Danhausen-
service. He delivered a service. He did.
Yeah. And Danhausen, bless you. Jimmy and I have been trying to lead the charge. Jimmy, even more than me, have been trying to lead the charge for Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano to be something. And God bless Danhausen for coming out of a coffin and figuring out how to do it.
And shout out to R-Truth. Ron Killings.
Thank you.
It's R-Truth. And Damien, calm down. And Damian Priest are your new tag team champions. Why? Who the hell knows?
Because sometimes the universe gives you things that are nice.
And with that, you've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast and the Morgan You Know podcast overall. I need to get this down. I'm sorry. It's still a new gimmick. You know what I mean? And with that, you've been listening to the, don't say I did it again, the Morgan You Know podcast. Rod, Chris, thanks a lot. Chris, help me.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye, Internet.
I think next week we should be talking about how LA Knight, Gunther, and many other seemingly top of the level WWE superstars have nothing to do going into WrestleMania. We talked forever about how we birthed Gunther and now he's gone. What do they do to the
Right.
general, Jimmy?
When you beat John Cena, you can't do anything else after that.
And AJ.
Shout out.
Who's he going to retire next? I guess that's his gimmick, right? Get somebody to
wants be
retire.
hurt. He doesn't want to retire. LA Knight's Bursa sack, though, that should retire. That was nasty on that elbow.